What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Tim's Sports Talk. And today we have what many of you have been asking me for, my ideal off season for the Washington Commanders. Of course, you know the old name, but doesn't matter. I'm bringing you my ideal offseason. Now, full disclosure, I'm not completely up to date on draft prospects. All right, I do know a couple of guys, but I went ahead and saw what I could get on the PFF mock draft. So we're going to have a mock draft today, and we're going to go through what free agents I'm looking at, who I would cut, who I would maybe hire as OC, and even what we're going to start with is a new owner. And it has come out that my man, the one I want so bad, good old Jeff Bezos, might be selling the Washington Post to actually come and buy the Washington Commanders. That would be ideal for me as a new owner. Jeff Bezos, he's shown that he can succeed in multiple fields. He took a little bookstore, online store, turned it into the biggest thing in the world, right? And he's done it all over the place. He's still growing like crazy. Why? Because he's a customer-first businessman. That's what Amazon is all about, customer first. And I think that would be a tremendous difference here in Washington, where Dan Snyder, all he cared about was himself, and all he cared about him, what do I want? Jeff Bezos, I think, would be a lot different. But of course, they're billionaires, so there's of course selfishness in there some points. But his business model is to be customer first, and I want Jeff Bezos. The stadium, I think, would be incredible. I think he would hire the right dudes. He understands what needs to be done. Bring in Jeff Bezos. Please, please, please buy my team. All right, now, you guys know that we are looking for a new offensive coordinator. So Scott Turner has been fired. And who do I want to bring in as my OC? Well, there's been a name that's thrown my way, and I'm in. I like it. Thomas Brown, the assistant head coach / tight ends coach. He also was a running backs coach for the Los Angeles Rams. Somebody from the Sean McVay tree, and we know that he is a tremendous coach in Sean McVay, and we're getting a nice young guy here in Thomas Brown, right? He was a former running back in the NFL, played for the Falcons and Cleveland. He's from Georgia, at college, UGA, 6th round pick. And he's been a coach here for quite some time, ever since 2011. Strength and conditioning coach is where he started, and he's moved on up the ranks through college and now the NFL, and has become an assistant to the head coach. And now I would like to bring him in as our offensive coordinator. I'm in. A young offensive mind, that's what we want. Creativeness, like the Sean McVay, great tree. Bring in Thomas Brown. All right. Now we're going to go through the cuts here in Washington before we get into what do we want to do in free agency. All right. And of course, it starts with the obvious, right? Well, first we have $7.3 million to start in cap space. So that's important, is currently what we have this year. Next year we have a ton, $99 million. So we can assign some extended contracts here to maybe bring some in, be able to give more guaranteed money, things like that. And this is not even including after we would cut Carson Wentz, and that is where I'm starting. Save $26 million in cap space. That's why I loved the Carson Wentz trade originally, is because he had potential to be a great quarterback, but if he didn't work out, which he didn't, you can cut him and get all of that money back. So right away, we go from $7 million to over $33 million in cap space. Another cut I would make in my ideal, not predicting, just my ideal, Charles Leno is cut for me. He is not worth the $8 million you can save in cap space, and I have other ideas that I want to go in the tackle direction anyway. Part ways with Charles Leno, save another $8 million. Now we're over $40 million. Another guy that's going to be sad to cut a little bit because he has been nice here in the past, but he's clearly not the same guy. Logan Thomas, cut for $5 million. I think that's a cap casualty that needs to happen. He does not look like the same player he once was. And I have other ideas at the tight end position that I would like to go with. So Logan Thomas needs to be cut, in my opinion, saving another $5 million. Shocker to no one that has watched this channel, I want to get rid of Andrew Norwell so fast. Give me that $2.3 million back immediately. And the last cut I wrote down, and there could be some other bottom of the barrel cuts, that's fine. But the other one, another fan favorite, J.D. McKissic needs to go. You can save $1.2 million on that. I think his neck injury is very serious. I don't know how many more years he has in the NFL, if any. He may need to retire. So that is somebody, if we can retire and get his full $3.2 million back, perfect. But for now, I would definitely at least cut him to get the 1.2. So that will bring us to a total of just over $50 million in cap space going in to the offseason 2023. And obviously, now we can do a lot. Oh, we can do a lot with it. All right. So going back to here. Number one thing I would do. Now we can get into who would I sign, right? And I didn't bring up a page for this, but it's obvious. I'm not going to sign him, but my QB1 going into the offseason is Sam Howell. That is the direction I would go in a heartbeat. He showed a lot of promise in that Dallas game, but I think he showed a lot of promise at the college level. As Jarris likes to say, he is not a guy that should have been drafted in the 5th round. He was a projected top 5 pick the 2 years prior, lost a ton of weapons. His numbers went down a bit, but if you go and look at his numbers were still pretty darn good, especially in the run game where he had to rely a lot more on his legs since he didn't have the weapons, had over 800 yards and like 10 touchdowns on the ground. Go with Sam Howell. Live arm, gamer mentality, not afraid to run, not afraid to take a hit and get the extra yards. He's got a great leadership quality about him, and I think the guys around him, especially guys like Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, like them some Sam Howell. Move forward with him. It's a much cheaper option as well. We have him under 3 years. Develop him, just like the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts. Everybody said they were crazy to go with Jalen Hurts, right? Now look at him, MVP candidate before getting hurt. All right. There's 2 guys that I want to re-sign this offseason, or at least extend in this offseason. The first one is, and I went back and forth on this, but I'm actually going to pull the trigger and sign Duron Payne. Why? I think we have the money to do it. I love the chemistry between him and John Allen. I know they had that fight on the sideline. That's brotherly stuff. They love each other. They've been playing with each other forever. I love them together, and let's keep them here in Washington. Now, it says here $19.4 million. I'm okay with going to 19.4 if we do the 5-year deal. I would try to get it down a little bit less between the 18 and 19 million if we only do a 4-year deal. But the longer we do, the higher per year I'm okay with, because as we go down in his contract in years past, we're going to have a higher cap number theoretically, and that is fine. So 18, 19 is my ideal. If we have to go 19.4 with the 5-year deal, I'm cool with it. Let's bring Duron back. He's a tremendous player. What's not to love about Duron Payne, right? Continue to stuff the run, get after the passer. He had 11.5 sacks this year. Sign Duron Payne. The other guy I want to extend to this offseason so we're not dealing with the same problem with Duron Payne is Cameron Curl. This guy has been one of our best players on the team. I know Jarris thinks he's the number 1. I mean, he has an argument to be. I still love Jonathan Allen a little bit more, but Cameron Curl would be my number 2 defensive player on this team. And he still has 1 more year on his rookie deal. Extend him now before he even threatens to hit free agency. I think you can get him for 15, 16 million. And what's beautiful about that is you don't have to pay him this year at all. It could be the same deal, except for maybe a little bit on the signing bonus, whatever that is. That has to be divided over the years, over the contract. But still, extend him this offseason so we're not getting threatened to leave for Cameron Curl. He's the most important player in our secondary, bar none. All right? So that is the first one. All right. So those are the 2 in-home guys I want to assign and extend. Here is my first signing. So we just got Thomas Brown in my ideal. I want to go get a quarterback that has been in the system that he was at. So let's go get John Wolford. Not that I think he's great, but he could come in who already understands the system that Thomas Brown wants to implement for our young quarterback in Sam Howell. Most OCs like to do this. We did it with Kyle Allen in the beginning, right? We went and traded for him when we brought in Scott Turner from Carolina. Now we do the same thing with John Wolford and Thomas Brown. implement the offense, and he could be a solid backup. He's not great, but a solid backup, right? Another guy that I wouldn't mind signing at all if you wanted to keep him is Taylor Heineke, right? I said John Wolford is my ideal because he already understands the system, but Taylor Heineke is a very, very smart dude. If you wanted to bring him in for like $3 to $4 million, another 2-year extension with incentives again, you can get it up to $8-10 million. That's fine. But if you wanted to bring him, that's cool. I'm going to go with John Wolford for now, though, because of Thomas Brown. Here's the biggest, the splashiest signing that I want, and I want to go all in on this guy. I cut Charles Zeno to go get Orlando Brown. You can see here the market value for him is 22.5. I would go over the top. Left tackle is such an extremely important position. Go pay him money. $23.5 million a year. Send him the check, right? Extend him for whatever he needs. Go pay him. In my first year, so I would do $23.5 million, but my first year, I would only make him a $13 million cap hit, so we don't go crazy. Oh yeah, and for Duron, I wrote down, I would make him a $12 million cap hit in his first year, right? Because it gradually will go up throughout the contract. So obviously, I think he's going to be an 18-19 million in Duron. This one be 23.5 average, but the first years will only be 13 and 12. So that $50 million will now go down to around $25 million in cap space. My next signing is continuing on the offensive line. Our offensive line was horrid this year, right? And I'm going to get a guy that maybe a lot of guys are talking about. And that's Mike McClinchy from the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously very well coached with the Shanahan offense. He was a former first-round pick. A lot of Niners fans dislike this guy a lot. They hate Mike McClinchy, right? And I think that's more because he is a first-round pick and didn't quite live up to that hype of a first-round pick, rather than saying this guy stinks. He's been a 70 PFF pretty much year in and year out over there in San Francisco, and you can see here he's only averaging around $10.7 million according to the market value. Pay him $20 million over 2 years, right? So 2 years, $20 million, so $10 million average a year, and his first year can be a $7 million cap hit. If you get this, you now all of a sudden fix your bookends with Brown and McClinchy, and I think that's really good. And I would kick Sam Cosmi into guard, and I think he could be a top-level guard, Sam Cosmi. I think he's a decent right tackle, but I think he could be a very good right guard for us. That's in my ideal. All right, moving on to the next dude, the left guard position. Fixing that O-line again. Bring back Eric Flowers. Go bring back Eric Flowers. He's going to be 29 years old next year. He's huge, 6'6", 330, super strong. I think he had like 30-something odd bench press back in the day. Tremendous guard, right? He was a very average left tackle, actually below average left tackle when the Giants drafted him. But he's found his spot at the left guard position. You can see here the last time he was in Washington, it was a 72 PFF grade. And I wrote down that I think I could get him probably for like $3.5 million, $4 million a year. Bring him off the streets. Nobody signed him all year long. Go bring him off the streets and have his first year be around $4 million in cap space eaten up. And you go from there. The last signing, a big, notable signing, obviously there could be some other littler ones, and you can kind of get the back end of the roster throughout. I would go get Devin Bush. We know that we have linebacker problems for real. You can see the market value is only $3 million. This guy has big upside for only $3 million. He's a first-round pick, former first-round pick, 10th overall in 2019. And if you can get him for a $4 million a year, 2 years, sign him for $8 million with incentives to maybe get up to 12 if he plays well. I would love to go get Devin Bush to try to boost this linebacker group, right? Oh, you know what? Some guy did forget, Cole Holcomb. I think I would let him walk. Fans are really overrating him. If we can get Cole Holcomb for the same deal, I would do that. But a lot of people think he's going to be way too much money. So Cole Holcomb, sorry, buddy. Not going to bring it back for now. Bring in Devin Bush, and don't ever let me see John Bostic, please, ever again, or David Mayo. None of them. All right. So those are my off-season signings, the free agencies of note that I would go out and go get to start filling some holes on this team. Now we go into this draft, all right? And again, I did a mock draft, so I was able to get these. I don't know. Maybe you tell me later, oh, there's no way that guy's going to be there in that round, or that's way too early. I tried to take him around where they were saying in the app. This is what I would go do. And here is the first shocker. All right. If you've talked to me, and everybody knows that I want a tackle in the draft. Well, now you just know that I went and got 2 tackles in the free agency. So I'm not going tackle number 1. And a lot of other people say we got to go corner in the first round. I'm not going corner. I am going in the first round. Tight end Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. This guy is legit. He is your true number 1 tight end. Like Ron said Logan was. No, this guy can do both. He can block and he can go out and get a route and make a grab. He is a true two-way tight end. He could be your TJ Hawkinson, if you will. This is what you need at a tight end. If you remember when we had Jordan Reed, there was a big problem because he couldn't block. He would hold. He was a tremendous receiver, but he couldn't block, right? Now we have John Bates. He can block very well. He stinks at receiver. He's not going to beat anybody man-to-man. He's not a guy that you can isolate and just go up and go get it. He's a zone beater at best. We barely used him. Michael Mayer could be the safety blanket for Sam Howell moving forward, and it's so important for an offense to have a true two-way tight end because you're not giving anything away, right? It's not like, oh, you're bringing in John Bates. Oh, we know you're going to run. Oh, now you're bringing in Cole Turner. Now we know you're going to pass, right? No. This guy can be on the field 100% of the time, right? I'm not going to say he's as good as George Kittle, but at the same time, that is a potential that you can get in a Michael Mayer, right? A top-notch two-way player. I'm going him first round. Notre Dame, Michael Mayer, tight end in my ideal offseason. I wish we didn't draft 2 tight ends in the last 2 drafts, but I've wanted this guy for like 2 years. I think he's a stud. All right. Next up, in the second round, now I'm going to hit my corner position, Kelly Ringo out of Georgia. 6'2", 210, great size. He's projected to run a 4.35 40-yard dash. This guy, I've seen other people say that we should take him in the pick number 16. Why he's available at pick number 47, I'm not sure. I don't know if you have off the field issues or what, but this guy is a steal at pick number 47. But PFF says I can get him there. I'm going to go get him. Bring me in a man-to-man corner that you could put alongside Benjamin St-Juste for the future. I did decide to keep Kendall Fuller. I went back and forth on that one. I'd be fine if you cut him, but I didn't really like any of the other free agencies because I don't want to pay James Bradbury a whole ton of money. Patrick Peterson was a little bit too old. So I decided, you know what? Keep Kendall for one more year. He knows the system. He's decent in the system. He's not a great corner, but we now have Benjamin St-Juste and Kelly Ringo as the corners of the future, and then next year we could definitely let go of Kendall Fuller. Next up, in round number 3, I'm sticking in the same secondary and now going to get my free safety. Bring in another Georgia DB right here. Christopher Smith, 5'11", 195. He's got great speed as well, 4.46. Has great instincts, and a lot of people think that on Georgia, with all those big names over the last 2 years, this guy has been the glue of that defense. He's got good leadership, and I would love to go get a true free safety. That allows Derek Forrest to stay in the box if you want to go with those 3 safety looks with Cameron Derek Forrest, and put Cameron Curl and Derek Forrest up near the line of scrimmage more and have this guy be your deep safety. Attack that position. I want to go get Christopher Smith from Georgia in the 3rd round. Number 4, round 4. This guy could be a big steal in the draft potentially, and we know that Trace Rouillet has some problems at the center. I do want to stick with him for one more year, but he has injury concerns. Let's go get Joe Tippmann out of Wisconsin. A huge frame, 6'6", 317 pounds, and this guy might be a tremendous steal out of this round in the 4th, where he has position flex. You can play him at center, you can play him at guard, and he's got great toughness. Has great feet, and hey, I'm in. Position flex. You know Ron loves his position flex. And if he could be a true backup at center instead of Tyler Larson, get out of my... No more Tyler Larson. If he's still on the team, I meant to cut him too. But Joe Tippmann is my 4th round pick out of Wisconsin. Pick number 5 here in the 5th round. I'm going to attack the linebacker spot, and I'm going to go get Henry Tuatua, or Toto, or however you say his last name. A leader on the Alabama defense. It's hard to go wrong. He is a bit undersized, 6'2", 228, but he's a guy that can cover, which is something we've desperately needed in the linebacker position. So you could bring him in. He could also be the leader of your defense. He's a smart individual, leader on Alabama, and obviously well-coached in a Nick Saban-led defense. Go get Henry Tuatua, or Toto. I actually don't know how to say his last name. I've seen his name several times, but I've seen it. People in the beginning, he was like a 2nd round pick. He's fallen apparently now, according to PFF, to the 5th round. I think it's a great steal and a position of need. Go get Henry in the 5th round. 6th round is a little bit interesting. I've decided to go, not necessarily, most people won't think this is a position of need, and it isn't, right? Overall, it's not a position of need. But I want to go get Jake Bobo out of UCLA. Mainly, he's a 6'5", 215 wide receiver. But he has also good production out there in UCLA. 57 catches, 817 yards, 7 touchdowns on the year. So he's a guy that's not going to wow you off the screen as far as great route running, great separation. But he is a guy that can be productive. And if he could come in with this size, be a good run blocker at times, and go up and go get it, kind of replace that Cam Sims role at a cheaper deal, I would like to stag Jake Bobo here in the 6th round, and it also has a dual meaning if you see my last pick. All right, in the 7th round, we have 2 7th round picks according to PFF. I'm going to go get TJ Bass, offensive tackle out of Oregon. He's only 6'4", but he is 325 pounds. He only has 31.25-inch arms. Very, very short. I think this guy can be moved inside to guard. He does have tackle experience, which is good, but he's a guy that I would expect 7th round pick, not a whole lot out of, kind of like the Chris Paul pick last year, has tackle and guard experience. Let's go get TJ Bass out of the 7th round to see what he can do, and I think he could be a very interesting pick late. Again, 7th rounder, not expecting a whole lot. This pick surprised me. I didn't realize he would be available this deep. The final pick of our draft, not the final pick of the whole draft, but our draft, is where I finally would go quarterback. And it's Dorian Thompson Robinson out of UCLA. I watched him against Washington, and I was very impressed. He's got a dog in him, right? But he's also a tremendous dual threat quarterback. He could kind of be like your Tyler Huntley in Baltimore. He had 12 touchdowns on the ground. He had 27 through the air, 10 interceptions, 3,100 yards on the year, and he had, I think, another 600 and some odd yards, rushing yard, no, but yeah, 600 and some odd yards rushing as well. Could be a dual threat, could be a great 3rd quarterback on this roster, more of a, put him on your practice squad or don't suit him up necessarily for game day, but he has potential in the league, but I also think he could be a great backup if need be to Sam Howell, that you could still do a lot of your dual threat things that you would like to do with Sam. He still has a nice strong arm. He's not going to be as good as Sam in my opinion, but a 7th round quarterback, he maybe be our Brock Purdy, just kidding. But Dorian Thompson Robinson, when I watched him against Washington, I was really, really impressed. And if you could get him in the 7th round, that is ideal. So here is my draft. Just to show you that I did get these guys on PFF. And that is my ideal offseason. So to recap, quickly, cut Wentz, Leno, Logan, Norwell, J.D. McKissick, and if you can cut Larson, good. Get $50 million in cap space this season. Bezos be our new owner. Thomas Brown be our new OC. Re-sign Duron Payne. Extend Cameron Curl. Go after hard Orlando Brown. Get a backup quarterback for whoever the Thomas Brown wants as far as a system, a guy that understands what he wants to do. Whether that is Wolford or Taylor Heineke, I think that would be fine. Go get a right tackle in Mike McGlinchey. Go get Devin Bush out of Pittsburgh at linebacker and re-sign Eric Flowers off the streets. And then here's my draft. Michael Mayer, tight end in the first round. Kelly Ringo, Christopher Smith, Joe Tippmann, Henry Tuatua. That's how I'm going to say it. Tuatu. Jake Bobo, TJ Bass, and Dorian Robinson. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. You guys let me know what you guys think about in the comments. Tell me how stupid I am. Tell me how wrong I am. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Also in the description below, there's a Discord link. Hop on our Discord and come talk some football with us. Last but not least, you can become a channel member with the top link in the description. 99 cents a month, or you can donate with the links in the below as well. Join the live streams if you haven't already, and we're going to be doing a bunch of content on the draft coming up. I appreciate all of you. And until next time, see ya!